Keeping the public safe in the middle of high-profile events in San Diego, the game plan for police at some of the largest events this summer.
I had people say, maybe you should retire, and I'm thinking, no. Rugby is something that I love. I love my team, I love the girls, I love the sport, and I love to compete.
Chasing after Olympic dreams in Chula Vista, women who are trying to make history in Rio, and the one player who refused to give up after her brush with cancer.
A bunch of area high school band directors who were watching the Pride Parade one year and said, hey, we ought to get a bunch of kids together and put a marching band together and march them in the Pride Parade.
Getting ready to make some beautiful music for San Diego Pride. Meet the group who is making everyone feel welcomed. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Developing news from France tonight. Another attack in the middle of a national holiday. A truck slammed into a crowd in the southern French town of Nice, killing at least 60 people. Crowds were celebrating Bastille Day along a seaside walk in the center of the town. Officials and eyewitnesses described the incident as a deliberate attack. Officials say the truck was loaded with arms and grenades. Witnesses say someone got out of the truck and fired into the crowd. Now, this comes just hours after President François Hollande announced he will lift France's state of emergency on July 26th. This was in place since attacks in January claimed by the Islamic State group. San Diego Police Chief Shelley Zimmerman said police are adding extra security for the Pride Festival this weekend and Comic-Con next week. KPBS's Steve Walsh says it's part of heightened security stemming from recent attacks here and around the world.
Expect to see more police officers at Pride Festival and Comic-Con. Police are on high alert after mass shootings at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando and then in Dallas, where a lone gunman targeted police during a protest.
After the tragedy that happened in Dallas, that is in the back of all of our minds too, is that we all have to make sure that everyone is safe. So it's not just officer safety, but it's citizen safety. We're asking everyone to be vigilant.
Zimmerman says vigilance means telling police when you've seen anything out of the ordinary. San Diego is calling on officers from surrounding departments to bolster the police presence at San Diego's largest summer events. Aside from uniform officers, there will also be plainclothes officers. Though at the moment, there have been no credible threats directed against either event. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
The police department has released a sketch of the person they say is a suspect in the murder of 3 homeless men in San Diego. Captain David Nislight says finding the person responsible is priority 1 for the department, and they are hoping the sketch, along with the previously released photos and surveillance video, will lead to a tip.
And we're just hoping that maybe when you couple all these 3 things together, that maybe it will spark some idea in somebody's head that will say, you know what, when I look at this video, I see the person walking, now I'm looking at a composite sketch, hey, I think I know who that is, and I need to call the police department.
The sketch was developed by a police sketch artist and based on the descriptions of the suspect by a witness. On Monday, Anthony Padgett was released from police custody after police uncovered evidence that suggested he was not responsible for the attacks. Opposition is popping up this week to the downtown Charger Stadium and Convention Center Annex plan. A group of civic leaders opposed to the team's proposal is appealing to the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce. Councilman Chris Cate is in the group, calling themselves the No Downtown Stadium, Jobs and Streets First Committee. And they're asking the chamber to reject the team's plans. A second group called Barrios Against Stadium says it's planning to protest Friday outside where team officials are scheduled to discuss their plans. New plans are afoot for an Escondido golf course that's been in limbo since it was shut down more than 3 years ago. It's a saga that's included a public vote, a lawsuit, and even chicken manure. KPBS North County Bureau reporter Allison St. John has the latest.
This is the latest round in the saga over the Escondido Country Club. A company called New Urban West has invited the community to an open house this weekend to consider possible development options. You may remember that the Escondido Country Club closed down in 2012, soon after the developer, Michael Schlesinger, bought it and then declared that it was no longer profitable. He stopped watering the greens and they turned brown. When he spread chicken manure on the course behind homes, he got slapped with a $100,000 fine from the county and totally lost the confidence of the residents. So now, even though a judge has ruled that he has the right to develop the land, he's chosen another developer to work with local residents. New Urban West has met with residents and they've sent out a nice invitation to this open house. However, the descriptions of what they might build there do not include estimates of how many homes would go up on the 110-acre golf course. There is talk of a restaurant, meeting rooms, a swimming pool, and a park with trails, but no specifics on houses. Previous plans have called for more than 600 homes or fewer than 300. Some residents want a smaller 9-hole golf course on the site, but it may turn out that if they want that, they will have to be assessed some kind of tax to pay for it. The Escondido Country Club is one of 3 North County golf courses that have closed down recently. There's the well-regarded San Luis Rey Golf Course in Bonsall. It's closed, with plans underway to turn it into a land bank. Then Carmel Highland in Rancho Penasquitos is also closed because of the rising price of water and falling interest in golf, which made it no longer profitable. It's worth noting that Schlesinger has also bought Stone Ridge Golf Course in Poway and is exploring whether he can sell it or even donate part of it to the city, perhaps in return for developing parts of it. From the North County Bureau of KPBS at CSU San Marcos, I'm Allison St. John.
The California Coastal Commission unanimously approved the extension of the trolley's Blue Line to University City and UC San Diego. The San Diego Association of Governments asked for approval of the trolley route, which roughly follows Interstate 5, starting north of Old Town. Sandag has said the only remaining hurdle is the Federal Transit Administration, which must approve the grants. Construction is expected to start in the fall. San Diego County veterans aren't waiting as long for disability and health care. That's the word from San Diego's top VA officials. Disability benefits now take approximately 3 months compared to 10 months back in 2013. Same-day health care appointments are offered for urgent issues, and now it takes half as long as it used to for mental health care. VA officials say they've hired more clinical staff, expanded technology, and increased services to optimize patient care. One of the most notable changes supports specialty care through technology like video conferencing.
And as you might imagine, for individuals with very severe PTSD who have trouble getting out of the house, that may in fact be the only way in which appropriate mental health care services can be provided.
The San Diego VA serves more than 500,000 veterans and their families. The expansion of the Medi-Cal program has exposed some gaps in San Diego County's safety net. From our North County Bureau, KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg says a new report offers a closer look.
The analysis of San Diego's healthcare market comes from the California Healthcare Foundation. It finds over the last 2 years, the number of San Diegans with Medi-Cal coverage has nearly doubled to 700,000. Ha Tu from Mathematica Policy Research co-wrote the report. She says by and large, Medi-Cal recipients have gotten access to primary care at community clinics.
But I think the areas where the San Diego's safety net has faced more severe challenges have been in access to specialty care and behavioral health care.
Many specialists won't treat Medi-Cal patients because of low reimbursement rates. Kenny Goldberg, KPBS News.
San Diego may well be America's finest city, but it is also one of America's least affordable cities. Now, with that in mind, a new downtown high-rise is breaking that trend. The building is called Atmosphere, and it boasts more than 200 units, 51 of them geared to special needs tenants. Former Assembly Speaker Tony Atkins says while this housing development is a positive step for supportive housing, most affordable housing is still out of reach for too many Californians.
We have got to do more. This is a step in the right direction. We can celebrate today, and we can celebrate the ribbon cutting, and we can celebrate groundbreakings, but we're not doing enough. We need 1.5 million more units of housing in this state, and we are way behind.
Today's topping out ceremony included the signing and placement of the final beam on the 12th floor. The units are designed for individuals and families who are earning up to 60% area median income, with some units reserved for those earning 30% or less. San Diego's first LGBT senior housing development is officially underway. City leaders broke ground on the 76-unit affordable apartment complex yesterday. The development is expected to cost $27 million. It will be located in North Park. Construction of the project may take 18 to 24 months. Republican presidential hopeful Donald Trump says he has postponed his vice presidential announcement in light of the truck attack in France. The frontrunner is Indiana Governor Mike Pence. Trump was expected to make his first appearance with his new running mate tomorrow in New York, just ahead of the GOP convention in Cleveland next week. The officer-involved shootings in Louisiana and Minnesota and the police shootings in Dallas have shined a spotlight once again on the divide between the police and the people they are sworn to protect and serve. Associated Press reporter Julie Walker takes a look at the New York Bureau of Staten Island, where Eric Garner died in a confrontation with officers.
2 years after her son Eric Garner died after a police officer grabbed him around the neck, Gwen Carr is still looking for answers.
A lot of the police officers doesn't know the people in the community, so now it gives them a certain amount of fear of them. But I just feel that if you're going to fear the people where you work, who you work with, or who you are supposed to serve and protect, that shouldn't be your job.
The chasm between police and minorities was evident again last week with the deaths of 2 more black men shot by police, which was followed Thursday by the killings of 5 police officers in Dallas by a black gunman. The New York borough of Staten Island, where Garner died, is a microcosm of a society where police and blacks live and are divided. Some residents say the island's expressway amounts to a local Mason-Dixon line. Blacks live mostly north of the highway, whites to the south, reinforcing divisions of race and economics. About 3,000 police officers, along with scores of retired cops, live with their families on the island, which is 75% white.
The people don't respect law enforcement as much as they did when I was younger. There's no respect, and that comes from the home when these kids are growing up.
Many blacks here feel law enforcement is too aggressive.
I can walk down the street, and I found it necessary many times to just put my hands up and say, "Good evening, officer. I have no wants, no warrants. I don't have any weapons on me."
Retired NYPD officer Richard Comesso agrees there is a communication gap.
A lot of kids they come out from a lily white neighborhood, never worked a job, never in the service. They go to college, they come out and they become a cop. Some kid comes up to them on the street, "Hey, mother," cop goes crazy.
Last year, the NYPD began assigning officers on local patrols in hopes they became familiar faces.
Well, he doesn't like the blue uniform. This is Ali.
Jesse D'Ambrosio and Mary Gillespie patrol the Staten Island housing project where Eric Garner lived.
I just feel like we just need to continue working on that gap, and building the trust. And it's going to take time.
One recent afternoon, they were helping a mother and her 2 small children.
So one of the tenants here locked her keys in the car, her 2 small children in the car. The AC is on, but we're having emergency service respond so that they could be able to open the vehicle.
A makeshift memorial where Eric Garner died 2 years ago is still maintained by friends.
I'm not against police. I'm against bad policing because we need police. We definitely need police, but we need them to be respectful and we need to respect them.
It's one of the answers to a divided society that Gwen Carr has been striving to find since her son's death. Julie Walker, Associated Press, New York.
State Senator Sharon Runner died this morning. A statement released by her family says she died of respiratory complications. She was 62. The senator's passing comes after her long battle with several health issues. It was a picture-perfect summer day in San Diego with sunny skies and warm temperatures. Heather Waldman has more on tonight's KPBS weather report.
Very quiet weather pattern will continue across the southwestern U.S. through at least this weekend. Four corners have been void of the monsoonal moisture we usually see this time of the year, but it will be coming back over the next couple of days. Meanwhile, along the coast, the typical marine layer setting up in some places, but it hasn't been all that dense. Still opportunities for sunshine as we go into the next few days. And temperatures, they're going to behave just as we'd expect them to in mid-July, middle 60s overnight. Clouds increasing in the metro area and down along the coast as well. As we go into the day tomorrow, we'll start to see more sunshine. Here's a look at things across the rest of San Diego County. Temperatures staying in the 70s in the desert areas, mid-50s into the mountains, 57 degrees in Alpine, 52 degrees in Campo. Coastal areas staying on the milder side once again, low to mid-60s. With that cool Pacific breeze. As we go into the day on Friday, very hot inland, but seasonably so. Temperatures topping out around 110. Places like Phoenix and Vegas, the California deserts looking just below that mark. And of course, as you head westward, the clouds will hold the temperatures down in the morning. By the afternoon, looking at upper 70s to low 80s in coastal and inland spots. So a nice end to the week. No rain expected, but as I mentioned, this area of high pressure is finally going to back eastward and strengthen, allowing for a more southerly breeze rather than the westerly breeze that we've seen for the better part of the last week. That's what's been keeping us dry. Believe it or not, a breeze off the Pacific actually contains quite a bit of dry air. This is tropical moisture, so we'll watch out for more numerous thunderstorms. Some of them could sneak westward. Something we'll have to keep an eye on early next week. But no rain expected here at the coast for the next 5 days, that's for sure. Temperatures mid to upper 70s through this weekend. We'll crest in the 80s on Tuesday. Clouds in the morning, more sunshine returning during the afternoon. A look inland, temperatures just a few degrees higher, upper 70s, low 80s. Still that same slight warming trend over the next couple of days with a few clouds to start the day and then more sunshine returning during the afternoon. Lows will be in the middle to upper 60s. Into the mountains, beautiful couple of days. Temperatures will top out in the 80s Friday and Saturday, closer to 90s Sunday and Monday, but temperatures overnight on the cool side. So if you're thinking about a day trip for a hike, definitely want to dress in layers, and certainly don't forget the sunscreen. Final stop, the deserts. As I mentioned, temperatures typically around 105, 110 this time of the year, and well, they're going to fall right within that range for the next several days. We'll see lots of bright sunshine all the way through this weekend into early next week as well, and that sun probably going to make it feel a bit warmer, especially later in the afternoon. Heather Waldman, KPBS News.
This week, California produced the largest amount of electricity from solar power ever. The California Independent System Operator says solar production soared to 8,030 megawatts yesterday. Now, that's twice the amount of solar energy produced in mid-2014. CalISO says there are two reasons. More solar is being connected to the grid, and the summer sun is causing increased power output. This summer, women will play rugby in the Olympics for the first time. A group of athletes have spent the past 4 years practicing together at the Olympic Training Center in Chula Vista, hoping to make the USA Olympic team. KPBS reporter Claire Trageser brings us a profile of one of them.
Jillion Potter is aiming to be one of the 12 American women to play rugby in the Olympics. But that didn't always seem possible.
As I was training for the 2010 World Cup, I broke my neck.
She's had devastating setbacks over the past 4 years.
And that kept me out for about a year of rehab, surgery.
She recovered and returned to playing. The 30-year-old moved to Chula Vista in 2012 to train at the Olympic Training Center, a vast facility that houses athletes training for the Games. Potter set her sights on getting to the Olympics in Rio de Janeiro. But one morning, 2 years later,
I woke up and I had swelling underneath my jaw and my tongue, and I thought, oh no.
It turned out to be a tumor and cancer. She had surgery to remove it, then chemotherapy and radiation. Still, she didn't give up.
I had radiation every day at 11. I would drive to the hospital, and then I would drive straight to the gym. I never wanted to look too far ahead because that's kind of, you set yourself up a little bit for failure if you don't stay in the present.
Within a year, she had the Rio Games back in her sights.
To me, why would you stop? I mean, cancer and rugby are not related. And yes, of course, I had people say, maybe you should retire. And I'm thinking, no, like rugby is something that I love. I love my team. I love the girls. I love the sport and I love to compete. And, my love of the game and having a cancer diagnosis to me are two separate things.
Rugby hasn't been in the Olympics since 1924, and women have never competed in the sport at the Games. So if Potter makes the team, she will have a place in history.
The journey itself and leading a path for other young women and men to be involved in this sport, and hopefully with the inclusion of the Olympics, more people will be aware of the game and say, I want to play that game.
The game will be Rugby Sevens, which is different from rugby that's played at the World Cup. It has teams of 7 players each, and their games are short, just 15 minutes long. That means games are faster with lots of running.
Groups of 4, down there and back.
Women's coach Richie Walker says seeing rugby in the Olympics could inspire young girls and their parents to give the sport a chance.
What they perceive of it is that, rugby, it's a really tough sport. They don't have pads or helmets. I might not want to let my little girl play that, but when they see our girls play it and how safe it is and how much joy and excitement they're having playing rugby, I think that it'll change their perspective of it.
He says he doesn't have any concerns about Potter's health.
She's a strong fighter and a tough girl.
Walker says she's an important part of the team.
From the setbacks that she's had, she has the biggest smile on the team, always laughing, always smiling, and always gives 100% to training every day that she comes down here.
He's finalizing his team and then will announce the 12 players who will go to Rio. Potter says until then, she'll just keep playing.
I try not to think about it too much because I have to think about practice and training, and if you keep getting caught up in selections, then you can't perform.
Clearly, practicing mental strength is something she's used to. Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
And video journalist Chris Arciaga helped produce that story.
I'm Gwen Eichel. On the next News Hour, our series, The End of AIDS, heads to Africa, starting in Rwanda, a nation that faced genocide, now showing impressive results tackling HIV. That's Thursday on the PBS News Hour.
A new report finds the 2014 San Diego LGBT Pride Festival and Parade had an economic impact of nearly $11 million and attracted more than 19,000 out-of-town visitors. The study was conducted by the San Diego State University Center for Hospitality and Tourism Research. About half of the $11 million was hotel room fees, shopping, entertainment, and food. The average hotel stay was 2.5 nights at an average of $170 a night. Municipal coffers also benefited. They received about $95,000 in sales tax revenue. California education officials have given the green light to a new school curriculum that includes LGBT history. Changes to K-12 textbooks come 5 years after state lawmakers passed a measure for inclusion of the LGBT community and people with disabilities in school history lessons. It was the nation's first such law.
It's important for the LGBT young people in our schools. We have kids in our high schools who are suffering from being invisible, and we see that all the time. We see them not coming to school. We see all kinds of negative health impacts. But actually, it's important for all of our kids because we need to have a fair representation of our history, of our real history. And I think that's one of the reasons why this is such a personal matter for so many people, because we need to be reflected in history.
The legislation also prohibited the adoption of any classroom materials that reflect adversely on gay people or particular religions. North County's LGBTQ Resource Center moved to new, larger headquarters in Oceanside this week. Now, with the help of community block grants and the city of Oceanside, the group hopes to double its programs in new offices on Mission Avenue. Last year, North County LGBTQ provided counseling for about 350 individuals. About 75 members of the North County LGBTQ community expect to travel to San Diego in 2 busloads to join the Pride Parade in Hillcrest. And San Diego's Pride celebration is this weekend. Marching in the parade this year for the second time is a band of local high school students. KPBS reporter Megan Burks visited their rehearsal today.
Here we go. More this way. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and. The San Diego Pride Youth Marching Band is the conception of a bunch of area high school band directors who were watching the Pride Parade one year and said, hey, we ought to get a bunch of kids together and put a marching band together and march them in the Pride Parade. So we just have been rounding up kids from throughout the county. We have kids from every corner of the county.
I identify as bisexual, so yeah, LGBT. Our school is really chill about that stuff, but I know that there's a lot of places that isn't, so it's really nice to be part of something that is so inclusive.
Ain't no other way. Baby, I was born this way. Baby, I was born this way.
And the Pride Parade starts at 11 a.m. this Saturday and will wind through Hillcrest along University and 6th Avenues. A music festival and 5K race are also part of the festivities. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us from all of us here at KPBS. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening.